Hi everyone, in this video I'd like to just introduce you to the concept of reading and leading people. I want to talk just a little bit about what I mean by that and what are kind of the connotations of reading and leading people. You know, the topic of how can I be more influential with myself and with others, that's a hot topic. And also the concept that a lot of what determines our behavior is a factor of our past programming, things called imprints or memories or beliefs or traumas from the past that influence today when certain things in our environment, a sight, a sound, a feeling, trigger a memory from the past. And then whatever you're dealing with right now, you're dealing with, plus you're getting a dose of this thing from the past. So when we take a look at the personality of a person, what we're looking at is how does the current of the river of their personality in their life flow. So think of yourself as having its own unique river. And like any river, it's got its own unique twists and turns. And no river is any better or worse than the other, but the better you know the river you're in, the easier it is to navigate and get where you want to go. Also, think of the areas in your life where it feels like everything comes very easy to you. More than likely, these are areas where how you address that particular goal or objective or job or way of relating, whatever it is, however you address that, you are addressing that in a way, or it's already set up in a way that fits your personality. So it feels like flowing down river. It feels nice and easy and natural for you. And you go, wow, I just really naturally excel in this area. Well, that's because how you're going about it or how it's set up is in alignment with how you work, how you're wired. And the converse is also true, of course, which is any area of your life where you're struggling, fighting yourself, having challenges, having difficulties. Guess what? More than likely, that area, well, you're swimming upstream. That's where you're fighting your personality. I'll give you a really quick example. So some of us, and many smokers, for example, are very freedom-oriented. They want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. They don't want to be told otherwise. It's all about options, options, options. Give me liberty, give me death. So we love options, we love adventure, we love upside potential. What do these people not like, right? What stresses them out? So that's what makes them attracted to something. That's what gives them a desire for something. What causes an aversion? Well, if you're freedom, it's feeling restricted, limited, or controlled. So imagine now we take a smoker who's high intense need to be free. He's always going to be attracted and motivated to anything that makes him feel free, gives him options, gives him adventure, and who will always be negatively repulsed or aversive to anything that feels restrictive, limiting, or controlling. So if we're then going to help that person quit smoking, and we tell them you have to quit smoking on this day, you must stop, it's horrible for your health, what effect do you think that's going to have on someone who is freedom, right? It's going to upset them, it's going to piss them off, and it's going to guarantee that they sabotage and rebel or act out against that, because their nervous system, what equals survival to them in their nervous system is not being told what to do and is overcoming any perceived threat to that. And that will become more important than quitting itself. You know, 20 years ago when I quit smoking, it was around 20 years ago, I think I was 26, 27, and right now as I'm filming this, I'm 49, I'll turn 50 this year. But back then, I smoked on the way home from my first 3 sessions, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. I wasn't even feeling that strong of a pull to have one, but there was a curiosity in me, a desire, some sort of pull to do it anyway. And what I didn't realize at the time was that my conflict, my struggle with quitting, really wasn't about cigarettes at that point. Cigarettes were a vehicle for me to express whether or not I was free or not. Me doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it was an imperative of my nervous system to feel free. And me not doing something because I felt I had to do it was also an imperative, again, to assure my nervous system that I am free so that I can survive. So that was my part of my biological drive, right? To stay alive and keep going. And for me, freedom equals staying alive. So as long as I saw smoking and having a cigarette when I wanted it as an expression of freedom, I was keeping myself trapped. In fact, I became a slave to the need to be free. Right? And so that's the, the personification of what you resist persists. Sometimes it becomes it. Take a look at drug addiction. How many people get into drug addiction to escape pain and then look at their life 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, if they're still alive? They've created more pain, right? So it definitely doesn't work. So in a program like a quit smoking program, a weight loss program, a stress program, any program where we want to influence the nervous system to make a big, powerful change, one of the very first things we need to do is take a look at the personality and take a look at how that beautiful natural river for you flows. And then that's where our professional expertise comes in, to know how to adjust what we're teaching you in a way that is palatable and acceptable to your nervous system. What makes it palatable and acceptable, or how do we know that it's palatable and acceptable? Well, how we know it is that you take the change and it sticks, okay? What makes it palatable and acceptable is aligning the message in a way that fits your key attractors for your personality and your key stressors. So if you're freedom, I've got to show you how quitting is going to increase your freedom. So for example, with a smoker, I may say, boy, do you even realize that as a smoker, you have given up 90% of your freedom? It's like you've signed a contract that says, I will only allow myself to attempt to relax under the following restrictive, limiting conditions, right? Because think about, where can a smoker really smoke these days? It's like, saying 10% of where you hang out you can actually smoke is generous, even for a smoker who's created their environment to make it for smoking. I mean, the areas where we can do it is so limited. And as a smoker, it's like you're signing a contract that says, I agree to only smoke or to only try to relax under these restrictive and limiting conditions, and while simultaneously poisoning myself. No one else has to live by that, but a smoker must. A smoker is a slave. And notice all of this fits that freedom personality, because they want to move towards being more free, and they want to move away from feeling restricted or limited. So if I present the proposition in that way to their nervous system, okay, and they believe it, it takes it and it runs with it, okay? So that will work for the smoker. The other thing that I might address with the smoker who is freedom is, I would never tell them to quit. So at the end of their first session, I might say something to you like, after today, you're free to smoke as much as you want. And you're also free to smoke as little as you want. But what's really important to remember is that no one can make you do it ever again. You don't ever have to do it again. You're free. And this is the kind of language that, again, will work really well with their nervous system. Now, someone who is what we call very security-based, where they like rules, they like expectations, they like clearly defined boundaries, they like very limited choices, this approach would bomb with them. It would actually have the opposite effect. It would cause them stress and pressure. For them, for someone who is much more rules and security and likes structure and tell me what to do and when to do it type of person, giving them too much options and too much choice and too much freedom is like, for them, waking up in a dinghy in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight at all. It absolutely wouldn't work. So it's really important that when we're designing a program, that we always use this how to read and lead technology, because it lets us know how to communicate. It's like literally knowing what language does that person speak, so that I can communicate with them. They're intelligent, they know what they want. I'm intelligent, I know what I want. They're able to speak about what they want. I'm able to speak about what I want. The only problem is I speak English, they speak Japanese, and neither one of us speaks each other's language. Learning a concept of how to read a person and how to lead a person is learning the language of their nervous system and the do's and don'ts that go along with it. The key do's and don'ts, so that you can very quickly and economically and effectively know what is likely to make the biggest, most impactful difference, and how to communicate with them in a way that's going to minimize resistance, minimize sabotage, minimize or eliminate conflict, and increase their chances of success. So that's the concept of reading and leading. And when it comes to leading, there is an art to how to do that, how to create that dance of rapport, how to create a yummy connection with other people, how to pace them before you attempt to actually start to lead them, and also how to lead them in a way that's genuinely going to be useful and fulfilling for you and for them as well. Because, in this day and age, it's very important that if you are attempting to ask or make a request of anyone, that you do so in a way where it benefits you and them together, or some greater good. if you want to have them to be fully invested in what you're doing. Okay? So that's the concept of how to read and lead. Think about every nervous system as its own unique river with its own unique twists and turns. And there is a way that works really well in harmony with it when you're in flow with it. And the more you go against it, the more it's like swimming upriver. So if you're struggling with an area in your life currently, personally or professionally, where it feels like, emotionally or physically, like, gosh, I'm just struggling, I'm efforting, I'm getting nowhere, chances are you're probably, working against your personality. Small chances, it could just be you don't have a clearly defined goal or there's some tactical knowledge that you need, but more than likely it's you're working against your personality and how you're looking at it or how you're going about it or how it is set up. And so that is a place I would start there. That's the concept of how to read and lead. And obviously we want to encourage you to do it always with integrity.